Hello, and welcome here, or welcome back. Although it was originally my intention to ride out with the ruckus and see all the lighthouses of Prince Edward Island, it's become very clear that riding a couple thousand kilometers, going 55 kilometers an hour, simply wasn't going to work out for me. So instead, I'm using my new-to-me 1984 Suzuki GS 450L, and today I'm going to be going to all of the lighthouses of Western PEI. I'll be crossing Confederation Bridge and then heading westward up the south coast of Prince Edward Island, up to West Point, up the Cape, all the way to the North Point, following the northern coastline for a little while, and then back down to New Brunswick where I live. Now this ride, like all my rides, ended up being longer than I expected. I expected about 8 hours, which I felt like was a very reasonable assumption. However, it ended up being 10 hours instead, and I went about 550 kilometers. And when I left my house, the forecast said I was going to be getting a little bit of rain throughout the day, and then the day after this was supposed to be all sunny skies. So I thought, oh well, I'll go out and ride on the partially rainy day, and then the next day I can spend with my wife. That way I'm being a nice husband. But instead of that, I ended up getting beautiful weather all day today. Didn't get rained on once. And although I did get a little bit overcast weather, it was pretty dang sunny. Great day, 10 out of 10. Way to go, PEI. And speaking of way to go, you're gonna see in some of these shots that my phone screen is basically totally shattered. That's because I was riding around the Cape of Beaumont on a dirt road, and then somewhere along the way, I don't exactly know where, my phone fell down. I don't know if it fell off of the holder, I don't know if it fell out of my pocket, but one way or the other, it fell off of my bike at some kind of a speed. And then, wouldn't you know it, some boys came along, some 10 to 12-year-old, two boys, and they found it. And then they brought it back to their mom, and then the mom happened to charge it, and my grandmother phoned, she picked up. My grandmother gave this lady my wife's phone number. My wife phoned me at work because I didn't have a cell phone, and then I went and met up with the lady, and now I got my phone back. A little bit worse for wear, but very grateful to have it. Now my wife and I, as real Prince Edward Island lovers, have actually seen most of the lighthouses on Prince Edward Island. However, I was very impressed to see that of the 13 lighthouses that I went to today, a few of them were actually new to me. Pretty sweet. And a couple of them, especially the ones in Summerside, I'm very surprised I haven't been to yet. But over the course of the summer, we're going to see how long it takes, but I will rectify the situation. I will see all the lighthouses. I have a list, 49 lighthouses long, and I'm going to get to them. However, I would like to emphasize that some of the lighthouses are actually on private land and cannot be accessed without being a dick, and I don't usually like being a dick, so man, I can't actually see them all. Maybe if I had a drone, but you know, I don't want to get a drone. I want to look at the lighthouses with my actual eyes. And frankly, if you live in the area or live anywhere near a coastline, I recommend you also go see lighthouses with your actual eyes, because man, they're kind of cool. But you know, it also doesn't have to be lighthouses. If you got like bridges, maybe some railroad tracks with some trains on them, heck, whatever it is that's close to you, you just go out and check it out. I just don't get whatever it is about Prince Edward Island, because you see, I live in New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island is basically the same piece of land as New Brunswick is. Just happens to be the Northumberland Strait between the two of us, which at one point is only 7 kilometers across. It used to be that this froze right over, and you could just walk from New Brunswick to PEI if you were brave enough to do so. But really, there's not a whole lot that's different about these two provinces, and yet, there's something so special feeling about Prince Edward Island. I don't know what it is. The lay of the land's basically the same, the trees are the same, the birds are the same. What is it? Don't know. Driving around in PEI just feels so dang good. Oh hey, look at that, West Point Lighthouse, a very famous one. You're gonna see this lighthouse on a lot of postcards from Prince Edward Island. Look at that paint job, man. They really went all out with this one. It's also got a hotel in it. I've never stayed in it, but my wife really wants to, so one day I will stay in it. And I bet that it's great, because it's in a great spot. But then, once I had my lunch, I headed northwards further up the coast, up from West Point. And this is my very favorite bit of PEI. There's a lot to love about PEI, but I really like this part. The most northern part, the western part. It is very sparsely populated. There's very little going on over here. Very little to do. But boy howdy, if it isn't the prettiest part of the island in my opinion. Absolutely love it. 10 out of 10. The highway just runs along the coastline in just the perfect way. There's cows, there's fields, there's a few really nice beaches if you're willing to look for them. This is the premium part of Prince Edward Island in my opinion. And when I say there's nothing up here, I want to make it clear that I'm saying that there's nothing up here by Prince Edward Island standards, which in general is a place that has absolutely nothing. There really is nothing up here. Yes, people do live here. I don't know what they eat because there's no grocery stores. There's like no gas stations. There's nothing. But it's great. But in any case, there is a gas station in Tignish, which I stopped at and got gas. My second time getting gas. It's strange. PEI isn't that big, and yet to drive on it takes so long. You know, there's no straight lines on PEI. You're always going in some direction. So to go someplace that doesn't look like it's very far away, you're going to be taking a very circuitous route. In any case, I did make it up to the north end of PEI, and every time I've been here before, this is my 4th or 5th time here, every time I've been here before, it's been so windy, super windy. There's a reason why there's windmills here. They are well placed because it is always flippin' windy up at the north end of Prince Edward Island. But today, very strangely, fairly calm. Still enough to turn the turbines, but not really enough to blow you over. So that's a calm day. Now I'll admit, when I drove into Tignish, PEI, I could have sworn for the life of me that this place was called Id, with a D, Idnish, PEI. And you know what got me thinking? Wouldn't you know it? There is a place in Nova Scotia called Tidnish, and this place in PEI called Tignish. And the reason why they're both called that is because there's a Mi'kmaq word, which means paddle, which sounds something rather like Tignish. So there you go. Now this is just my anecdote, but I'm basically positive that it's true, which is that along the northern coast of Prince Edward Island, it seems that there's a lot more bridges going over bodies of water, which of course is beautiful and something I really enjoy. And I assume that the reason for that is because the northern end probably gets hit by way more storms, because that's on the Atlantic side of Prince Edward Island. I don't know, don't take that for fact, but I'm pretty sure it's true. So when you're driving along the coastal highway along the north end and you get to appreciate a lot of bridges, there you go, keep that in mind. But thinking of storms, this area got hit by Hurricane Fiona last year, which knocked down basically every tree around, and it looks like PEI has really bounced back from that. It's nice to see. I was here back in the spring, and it did not look this nice, and it was pretty worrisome. And then there you go, just like that, 13 lighthouses. The last one that I saw, crossing the bridge back to New Brunswick, doesn't count. Cape Germain, you don't count. That's New Brunswick Lighthouse, so number 14 isn't real. However, I thank you very much for checking this out. I hope you've enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making it, because I did enjoy making it. You have yourself a great day.